morning, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Is this working all right? Yeah, I guess it is. So we'll call this, this actually is an official meeting of the City Council, so we're going to call it to order, and we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So, listen to here. So if you'd all rise and join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. I appreciate all of you coming this morning. It's the first really public meeting that the council has had since COVID, so it's another one of our steps to return to the new normal that we all live in. Today we're going to go through and review the state of our city. If we can get we'll get started. This is how we always start these meetings. That is a review of our mission statement. The mission statement is something that the council adopted maybe 14 or 15 years ago. It was actually adopted at the urging of Councilwoman Marcy Ellis at the time. She felt we needed something that would help guide us as we try to do our jobs representing the citizens of Litchfield Park. So the mission statement has been in place for those years, and I think the council has tried to stay true to it. We believe that we are providing you with responsible government. We try to get the citizens involved, and we have worked very hard to preserve the unique character and beauty of our city. So the agenda for the day will also be similar to what we've done in the past. I'm going to go through and introduce the City Council, some of our boards and commissioners. Matthew, our city manager, will introduce city staff and our public works and safety departments. Then we'll go back and we'll take a look at what's happened in the city during 2021 and what we think is going to happen in 2022. We'll review the census, the election. We'll go through our financial condition in some detail so you understand the financial condition of the city. And then we will review some of the significant things that we're working on, such as Camelback Road annexation. We're going to review the progress up on the Loma Hilltop. So, and then following that, the council will have an opportunity to make individual remarks to you, and then we'll take your questions or comments. So we'll begin by recognizing the City Council. Paul Faith has been the Vice Mayor for, I don't know, forever. Longer than I've been on mayor, and I've been mayor for 16 years. So we're happy to have his service. We're very fortunate, and we have Ron Clare as a council member, and Donahue, John Romack. Looks like we are missing Mr. Romack, but he does a great job on the council. We have also Tom Mostosi and Lisa Brander Watson. So if you please give them a hand. We have various commissions and boards that are similar to the council in that these are all volunteer positions. The council works just as a matter of service to the community. There is no compensation for being on the council. We also have a variety of commissions and boards and board members that serve your interests throughout the year, and they're also volunteers. So we want to recognize first the Design Review Board of Adjustments. Susan Charneski is the chair. David Ledgart is the vice chair. Ron Clare serves on it as the city council representative. Rachel Dudley and Brian O'Connor. The Planning and Zoning Commission is chaired by David Ledgard. Michael Faith is the vice chair. Brian O'Connor serves on it. Vicki Lynn Albee, Robert Derry, Andrew Frazier, and Deborah Lawrence. Then we have the Recreation and Public Grounds Commission, which takes care of our parks and the planning around our parks and open areas. Anthony Tadai is the chair, Andy Phillips is the vice chair, and then Brian Colbreth, Brian Faith, Susan Fix, Christopher Gertz, and Adam Schwartz. Now we're going to spend a few minutes going through our city departments. These are a variety of individuals that serve you on a daily basis. They work very hard to make this community a wonderful place to live. They will be introduced to you by our city manager, Matthew Williams. Matthew came to us in December of 2019 as the assistant city manager. He also managed the rec center. When Bill Stevens retired in January of 21, we retained Matthew as our interim city manager, and then eventually we hired him as our permanent city manager. This may surprise those of you who know him, but he's actually from Georgia, somewhere in the south. He holds a master's in public administration from Auburn University. He has served in the city of Lafayette, Georgia. He also served as a community service manager in Pinetop Lakeside and as the town manager in Huachuca City before he came to us. So Matthew, if you could come up and introduce the departments, I would appreciate it. Here's the plan.
Good morning, everyone. Mayor, thank you for introducing me today. As the mayor said, my name is Matthew Williams. I'm very privileged to be the city manager for Litchfield Park. Me and my family feel very blessed to be here. This is a beautiful community. It's a unique place to be in Arizona for so many ways. And again, we're so grateful to the council and to the city for letting us serve here. And thank you. So first of all, we couldn't run the city the way we do, of course, without our staff. So at this time, please like to ask all our city staff, please stand and be recognized at this time. Thank you. We have a great leadership team. A small city is unique in the way that it operates in that we wear a lot of hats. We have a lot of different tasks that we handle every day, of course, as you see from this photo. And again, we're very blessed to have the staff that we have. We have had some staff change up this year, and last year we had 2 retirements. Many of you may have known Pam and Mary. Pam retired as the Plane Services Director after 20 years of service to the city. She retired last October. And Mary actually retired back in March as our building official. We thank them for their years of service to the city. Just a basic run through as far as what the city departments do. A common question for a city manager is, what do you do anyway? Because nobody really knows. People don't understand what a lot of people never even heard of a city manager, let alone that the position exists. So a city manager, of course, is basically responsible for the day-to-day operations of the business of the city and the employees. I do serve at the pleasure of City Council, and again, very glad to be here. The City Clerk's office, our City Clerk is Terry Roth. Terry's here with us today. Thank you, Terry. The City Clerk's office, they're responsible for city. I'm sorry, I can't read that back screen. They're responsible for City Council and boards, commissions, agendas, and minutes, elections, and records management. Our Finance Department is unique. Our finance is also finance and IT. And Ms. Paige Peterson, she's also our finance director, our IT director, and our ACM. And Paige is back there in the black box hiding from us, making sure everything goes great with the presentation. Thank you, Paige. Building safety. Again, Mary retired last month, so we do have a brand new building official with us. We were glad to take Mr. Brian Bertucci here with us today. He used to be for the city of Goodyear for some time, and we're very glad to have him now here as part of the Litchfield Park team. Thank you, Brian. The Building Safety Department for 2021 for COs for Taco Bell and Cobblestone Car Wash, of course at the intersections of Dysart and Camelback. In 2021, it's always interesting to me, for those of you that know me, I'm very much a numbers person. It's always interesting to see the numbers as far as to follow the business of the city. For 2021, we issued 261 building permits and 1,000 inspections. We're very busy, especially for a department that's one person deep. Again, small city. For our 2022 projects, Rancho La Loma, of course you guys know this is at the corner of Camelback and Litchfield, has 4 of 15 residential buildings under construction with a total of 28 dwelling units. The Litchfield Park self-storage unit, currently under construction, that will provide 129,000 square feet of storage space. And we are seeking council to update the 2021 I-codes by the end of 2022. Code enforcement. This job by profession is not always the most popular person. However, Raina does a good job with us. Raina's been here with us for, about a year now, and doing a great job with us. Raina, thank you for everything you do for us. So some numbers for 2021. We had 137 landscaping claims, 81 illegal parking claims, and 77 miscellaneous violations. So again, one person deep. So too, she's a very busy person. HR, so Miss Susan Slagle, she's right here with us in the office in the front. Thank you, Susan. For full-time, we have 41 FTEs, part-time 4.75 FTEs, and seasonal 4 FTEs. I would say that does not mean that we have 50 employees. That's how they break down as far as the percentage of a position. Okay. HR also handles recruitment, onboarding, payroll, and risk management. Magistrate Court. Judge Ringer, you still here with us, sir? Thank you, Judge Ringer. For this past year so far to date, 28 misdemeanors, 6 criminal traffic, 199 civil traffic violations, 13 code compliance issues, and 55 parking violations. So again, we have a busy court and a busy police department, and we'll be recognizing them later. Planning. Another new person we're here with us this year is Mr. Daniel Loftus. Dan? Dan's our new plan coordinator. He's been with us since October and also doing a great job. We are happy to say that council did approve the 2022 general plan update this week, and that will be up for election this fall. Cities are required to update their general plan every 10 years. We're also looking at updating various sections of the code to include commercial vehicles, RV parking, and more. Public Works. There's a reason why Litchfield Park is so beautiful. And obviously a big part of that is you. You take care of your homes and your yards. We have a lot of pride and ownership in this community and keeping this community looking as beautiful as it does. But another big part of that is our Public Works team. They do a great job. Richard? Thank you, Richard. So numbers for Public Works. They maintain 24 miles of right-of-way, 42 acres of turf, 7 parks, 1 lake, 1 baseball field, 1,400 palm trees, and 600 orange trees. Again, these are busy people, and we thank Public Works for the job that they do. Community and Rec Service is broken down into several sub-departments. So our Community and Recreation Services Director is Tricia Kramer. Tricia? And that breaks down to aquatics, preschool, special events, and youth sports. Our aquatics program, we do have a new aquatics director here. Sammy, there you are. Thank you, Sammy. We won the 2021 Red Cross Facility Award. We are open Memorial Day through Labor Day. As you see, 885 swim lessons, 239 Legardos, 700 hours of open swim. We have a great aquatic facility, and thank you, Sammy, for everything you and your staff do. Our preschool program. Shay. Shay does a great job with our preschool. If you know Shay, she's a very passionate person, and it takes passion to run a preschool program, and she's got it covered and does a great job. We are licensed by the Arizona Department of Health. We follow the same calendar as the school district. I see Shelley Horn back here with us today. We did a lot of coordination between our preschool and the school district during COVID, and they were great partners during those times, and we thank you for that. We do have 57 kids in our school year program, 2 kindergarten readiness classes, and 1 class for new learners ages 3 to 4. For those of you that know me, my little boy is 2.5, and he'll be joining the preschool program sometime next year, so they can take care of my little ball of rubber, and he'll be happy to be there with them. So. Special events. We have 5 large-scale art and culture festivals. That's a really cool thing we do here. Those of you that, of course, have been to our city events and see how big they are, these events draw 10,000 to 15,000 people on a weekend. And we're a small staff, and the fact that these events go off without a hitch is a testimony to our event department. So again, Tricia, thank you for everything your staff do for this. We host the Kiwanis Trout Fishing Derby. I think we do have some representatives from Kiwanis here with us today. Thank you for being here. We host 6 live concerts. The last one for the season was actually last night. We have 4 small-scale community events. We have a lot of partnerships with local businesses and organizations. We received a $3,000 grant from the Arizona Arts Commission and a $25,000 grant from AOT. Youth sports. Pat, you here with us? Thank you, Pat. We offer co-ed leagues in the winter, spring, and fall for basketball, flag football, soccer, t-ball, and coach pitch. We have over 1,200 kids playing ball in our leagues. Summertime clinics, 324 tennis lessons, and we have recently added an adult cornhole tournament. So come on, check that out if you haven't already. Public safety. So the mayor will talk more about this later, but I would like to recognize our new public safety team. Many of you may have known. In the summer of 2021, we switched public safety from MCSO to the City of Avondale. I would like to thank the City of Avondale for everything they do. They do a great job. If you guys will please stand and be recognized. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Again, they do a great job in our community. They're very visible. I would like to say that I see almost one of our officers every single day. They come in and talk to me about what's going on in the city, and again, they do a great job, and I'm sure the mayor will touch on that more later. Goodyear Fire. Our fire service is also provided by Goodyear Fire, as has been for some time. They do a great job with us, and they do stay busy. We have someone here with us from Goodyear Fire staff. Are you here? Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. And I think that's it for me. And again, I will turn it over this time to the best mayor in the valley, Mayor Tom Schoaf.
So it might appear that Matthew was campaigning for his contract to be extended. Before we get into the state of the city, we need to recognize a couple of other individuals that have not yet been recognized. We have a former mayor, Woody Tums, who's here. We also have a representative from Luke Air Force Base, Christy, and I'm going to say your last name incorrectly, but Soder? Okay, well, it was close. Start with S. Christy's part of what they call a communities initiative team, and it is a team of dedicated professionals that spend all of their time literally trying to make sure that Luke Air Force Base and the surrounding communities function well together, and we each support each other's mission. They do a great job. They spend a lot of time on zoning issues and land use issues around the base to make sure the base can continue to fulfill its mission. So we appreciate all her work. We also want to recognize Jody Gunning, who is the LES superintendent. Well, yeah, you know, Litchfield Elementary School has been an important part of our community forever, and we appreciate all of her hard work, so thank you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the census, and we're just going to mention it quickly. We had about 80% participation within our community in terms of answering the census questions. The census is an incredibly important thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen for another 10 years, so we may not, we're not going to see it soon. But it sets the number of citizens that we get credit for in the city. We've had about a 31% increase from 5,400 people to approximately 6,800. And that is really important for state shared revenues. And the more people we have living in the city, then the higher amount of state shared revenue that we receive. And so it's really important that we have these numbers correct. It also is important in terms of our representation in Congress. Unfortunately, it looks like as a state, we had a significant undercount, and because of that undercount, we did not receive one of the anticipated seats in Congress. This year, we have several election items coming up. The first one is in May, and it is a very important election for the city. As you know, we're in the process of developing the downtown area that we call Litchfield Square. We have parcels of land in that development that we will be selling over this next year to 2 or 3 years. And if any of those parcels were to sell for more than $1.5 million, then we have to come to get voter approval. So what we've done instead of waiting for that is to go ahead and bring it up to the voters now, so we can get your approval ahead of time, so that when we negotiate a sale, the purchaser doesn't have to wait for us to have an election concerning that particular parcel. So that issue is up in May, and I would ask you to support that. It is a very important step within this development of the downtown area. There's a primary election in August. We have vacant seats for the mayor and 3 council members. So if those positions are filled in the primary, then there will not be a need. We will not need to have the general election, which is November 4th. If we don't need the general, that will save the city some funds. Next item we want to go over is our financial situation. We are very blessed in that the city is in a tremendous position from its finance. We have worked very hard over the last decade to protect the commercial areas that we have within the city. We had a lot of pressure brought on us by the owners and developers, that people wanted to develop some of the property, to convert commercial areas into residential projects. Unfortunately, residential projects simply do not pay the bills for a city. There's not enough revenue generated by a residential development to cover the cost of having the residential development. So you have to be very careful to protect your commercial areas. The council has done an excellent job at doing that. And because of that, our revenue situation now is in a very, very positive situation. As you can see from this pie chart, 91% of our revenue comes from city sales tax and state shared revenue. That revenue, if you look just at the city sales tax portion, has been going up every year because we've had, again, these commercial areas have been developing now, and so we're starting to receive increasing amounts of sales tax from those areas. The most notable, obviously, is the Fry's Center, but there's also very significant contributions to our budget from the various businesses that are at Dysart and Camelback on the, get this all messed up, so that's southeast corner, with the development that's gone on there, and then also the corner of El Mirage and Camelback is starting to provide significant sales tax for us. On this chart, if you look at our projected numbers for 2022, you can see that this number the total number is reaching almost $10 million. The important thing to note is it's not just a matter of how much money is coming into the city, but it's also how much money is the city spending. And it's the relationship of those two, obviously, that tells whether or not we're in a good, sustainable position. The key thing on this chart is the orange line that's on the bottom. This orange line is the city expenses to operate. And you can see that it's a little bit less than $8 million. And on the prior chart, our city sales tax revenue was projected at almost $10 million. So even without state shared revenues, we have more funds coming in than what our operating budgets require us. So for all of the services that were described to you by Matthew a few minutes ago, all of those things wrapped up together cost us a little bit less than $8 million a year. And we have a stable income of more than $10 million a year. So you can see that our budget is in very good shape. And those extra funds is what allows us to fund things like street maintenance, improving our parks, and those kinds of things. This slide shows the total amount of revenue versus our total expenditures over the last 5 years. And again, what you can see is that our revenues have come in ahead or above the total amount of money that we've spent in the city. Excuse me. What that has done for us has allowed us to build up a surplus that is now helping to pay for the initial costs of developing the city center. And it gives us a cushion so that we're not in a situation where we have to move that property in the city center quickly. We can wait until we find the right uses for the parcels. We can make sure that the businesses that are going to go in there are businesses that our community is going to want. Excuse me. And the reason we have that scratchy throat. Try not to knock that off. So the fact that we've been able to build up this surplus over the last 4 or 5 years has put us in a situation where we have the time now where we can develop the city center in a way that we think the residents will want to see it, and we're not under any kind of financial pressure to make that happen in any particular time frame. That flexibility is really, really important to us, and it's a way that we are able to protect the neighborhoods and protect the lifestyle within Litchfield Park, while at the same time trying to develop a vibrant downtown area that can serve both our residents and also the people in the Southwest Valley. Excuse me. And so it's this combination, and it's the work that the council has done over the years to protect the commercial properties, to make sure that we have a good flow of city sales tax that can support our city. One of the things that we have spent some of the surplus that we have. One of the things we've spent that on is our community policing. We made a decision a little bit more than a year ago that we were not happy with the service we were getting from MCSO, because as we've gotten larger and MCSO's mission and the way that they conduct themselves as police officers is different from what we saw that we thought our community needed. So MCSO is very much patrol oriented and a responding agency. So they basically wait to see something. If something happens, they respond, and they do a good job when they respond. And they respond with a lot of force, and they have a lot of assets that they can bring to a response. We wanted to go to more of a community policing model where our officers were more evident and visible in the community, that they actually got out and looked for things ahead of time and tried to set an environment in which we discouraged crime from happening. So in doing that, we were very fortunate that Avondale had the ability to provide that service to us. I have to tell you, they're tremendously more expensive than what we were paying for MCSO. And it's worth every dollar. They do a very good job. It is it is reassuring to me to actually see the police car around. And that was one of the things that I used to speak to MCSO about all the time, that I couldn't imagine that I couldn't see. Why didn't I see the car? I mean, it seemed like you should occasionally, at least occasionally, see the police officer if he's here in your community, every day. And we just didn't. I didn't see the police car very often unless I saw it at City Hall. Now I see the police car all the time, which reminds me I need to make sure I'm not driving too fast. So. We also invested in a system of license plate readers. This system, it's called the Flock system. First I want to reassure everyone, it cannot see your face. So it has no ability to identify who is driving the car. It has no software that even if it could see your face, it wouldn't be able to recognize your face. So it has nothing to do with invading anyone's privacy. What it does is it looks for license plate numbers, and when it records a license plate number, if that license plate number has some sort of alert out, then it gives a signal. It sends a report immediately to the police officer who is patrolling Litchfield at that time. So that police officer knows that there's someone who has either entered or left the park for which there's some reason to be concerned. And the reasons are there's various reasons. So if that license plate happens to be associated with a person who has a warrant for their arrest, obviously we'd like to find that person and not have him drive around our community and commit some other crime. We want to help him go back and deal with the consequences of the warrant. It also alerts us to a variety of other things like child sexual criminal, somebody who has a criminal record for a child sex crime. It has Amber Alert capabilities. It has a variety of things. It tells us if the license plate happens to be with a stolen car, for example. So it's a variety of reasons why we want the police officer to go and look for that car. And there are these flock cameras at every entrance and exit in Litchfield, so that anyone coming into our community, if they have a license plate that would give us reason to be concerned, we can respond to that, and we can make it as a proactive response, not wait until we find out a crime has been committed. So in total there are 32 cameras that are in use in this system. Now looking back at 2021, some of the significant commercial development that has taken place. You all have seen the dirt being moved in Litchfield Square, so we're going to talk about that for a little bit. We've also have a variety of businesses that have moved into the Camelback and Dysart corner, including Cobblestone, Auto Spa, and Taco Bell. And Rancho La Loma's development at Rancho La Loma is starting now, and Sun Health is starting to build out that community. We also have a new storage facility, both a storage facility at Dysart and Camelback, and a new one going in at the corner of El Mirage in Camelback. Those storage facilities actually provide significant sales tax revenue because it's a rental of property, just like the rental of an apartment. But it just doesn't have any people, so it has no cost associated with it. We also just want to let you know that staff is working on rewriting our zoning code. We have some areas of the code that are confusing at best, and so we're going to go through and clean that up. And we also are adopting a new general plan, or a revised general plan. It's very similar to the current general plan we have, but we have a legal requirement that has to go to a public vote, a public review process, an amendment process, and then a vote every 10 years. We actually needed to do that in 2020, but with COVID and all the problems we had going on with being able to have public meetings, we decided to postpone it 2 years, so we're doing it now. So Litchfield Square. Just a quick bit of history for anyone who doesn't know the history of Litchfield Square. Litchfield Square is the dirt area that's next to City Hall and next to the current commercial space like Papa Paul's and Old Pueblo. So it's the dirt area next to the church. In 1996, there was a plan put together to build a city center type development, mixed use development on that parcel of land. The city did not own the land at that point in time, and there were a lot of disputes or unhappiness by the people who did own the land that this planning work was done, and it actually led to the recall of a significant number of council members. So it is a development that has had a very difficult past, and I think the current council is happy we've been able to get through this planning process, and we haven't had a recall yet. So we appreciate your support. In 2014, we began the process of purchasing the land, and that may be one reason why we have not had the disputes over it, because between 2014 and 2017, the city purchased all of that acreage, just 30 acres approximately, and it put that land under the control of the city so that we could actually take the time to plan out what we thought the residents would want in that area, not what would be the most profitable thing to develop necessarily in the space. So you can see the space at the different times when we purchased the property. In the middle of the property, every development needs some sort of an anchor. An anchor is something that generates traffic. The traffic helps support the remainder of businesses that are built around the anchor. So if you think of the Fry's Center, the Fry's Marketplace is the anchor for Fry's, and it brings people into that development, which then they go to this hardware store, they go get a cup of coffee, or they get a hamburger or something. So we did not want anything anything quite like the Fry's Marketplace in the middle of this development, because we didn't think it would set the right atmosphere or tone for the development. What we decided in the end, after we probably talked about it for a year or more, was that we were going to build this development around a new park, and the park would become the center of the development, and it's going to be used for all of the different activities that go on in the city. So when we have festivals, we'll do festivals in the park. I got one here. Unfortunately, I have people take care of me. I need it. We'll see if this lodging thing will help. So, the concept is to have activity. This park be the center of activity for various city activities, and also serve as a place that will support the businesses that are around the park. It's going to have a very special little playground built in it for the kids. It's got an amphitheater so we can hold our concerts there. We'll probably see the number of concerts and things like that we do will probably expand so that we use it more than 4 or 5 times a year. We'll try to use it several times a month. It's got a large enough green space area. You can see the amphitheater is here, the park, the playground equipment's here, and then this large area is an area that we can use to actually hold our festivals. So the various festivals that we now have kind of spread around the city, or that might be in the area by the library, we'll actually move those festivals into this park. And that will bring in a significant number of people, which will help the businesses that are going to be located around the park. This is a picture just kind of for information, so that everybody, if you were wondering what we were doing in the middle with the big hole that we dug in the middle of this development, the big hole was dug literally for these whoops. There we go. These concrete containers actually is a central place for all of the stormwater runoff in the development to go. So all the runoff that comes from all 30 acres will go. It actually goes into these retention containers, and then it goes into the drains into the ground. So these now were a very significant expense, and now they're all buried and you don't see them anymore. But under there that's under the park basically. This is a picture of what we think it will look like when it gets built out. We have just recently entered into a purchase agreement for this parcel of land, and we have an initial plan from a developer. It's a local developer, a local group of investors who are going to build this first building. It's about 45 to 50,000 square feet. We'll have a couple of restaurants. It'll have some retail space and maybe a little bit of office. So we're looking forward to continuing to work on that parcel. We also are having conversations with developers on this parcel and this parcel. So we hope to see some more activity going over the next several months, where we hopefully we'll get some additional proposals for specific buildings on those two parcels. We also have retained an international real estate marketing group known as JLL, which is Jones. I always get the L's mixed up. It's Jones LaSalle Lang or Jones Lang and LaSalle. What's that?
Lang LaSalle.
Lang LaSalle. Okay, so Jones Lang LaSalle. Excuse me. They are literally an international group that deals in a variety of real estate situations. They're going to go about marketing the parcels other than the parcel that we just sold. They will market the project, and it will be put in front of a variety of developers to develop one or more parcels, in this concept. This is a picture of what we think it's going to look like, what it may look like. The architecture in this picture is a little bit off in that it's more of a Santa Barbara style architecture, and what we're requiring people to do is to build buildings that are consistent with the architecture at the wigwam, the school, LES school, and this church. So they're given these three structures and told that whatever they build has to be not so much it can't be the same, but it has to be consistent. It has to fit into these three buildings, so that the buildings that go into this development will be similar in character to the buildings that we currently have, and that are kind of the focus and foundation of our community. This is a picture of a traffic circle that we're in the process of building right now. And I'm sure everyone here is very excited about the fact that you can't use Litchfield Road in a very convenient way anymore. This traffic circle is the way that we're going to control the intersection of Village Parkway and Litchfield Road. And the reason the council decided on a traffic circle as opposed to a traffic light, there's several reasons. One is that this circle, or that intersection, is very close to the existing traffic light at Wigwam and Litchfield Road, and that having two traffic lights that close together generally is a problem. Traffic lights also are very noisy because people, whenever they stop, they have to start. And when they start, there's a noise that the car generates that ends up being, it can be disturbing to the neighbors. So we've got neighbors now that live in Cache, some very, very close to that intersection. And putting in a traffic light would definitely have an impact on their enjoyment of their property. So that was a consideration we took into account. And the other thing that we wanted to do was we want to do things to help mitigate or slow the speed down on Litchfield Road. We have done studies on Litchfield Road where we keep track of the speed of cars throughout a 24-hour period. And I was shocked to find that we actually have cars on Litchfield Road that are doing more than 90 miles an hour. We have some cars that are above 100 miles an hour. And so this traffic circle will really not be conducive to going that fast. I think it will help slow them down. If it works well, and we may see another traffic circle north in the area of where Bird Lane comes out, or possibly where the greens come out onto Litchfield Road. To help slow, we want to slow this traffic down so that it's not as dangerous as it is now. And the final thing that we took into account is that once people learn how to drive in a traffic circle situation, they are much safer, because any accidents which occur in a traffic circle tend to be cars hitting the sides of each other. You don't see high-speed T-bone accidents. We've had a few very serious accidents at Wigwam and Litchfield, and traffic lights tend to have, you tend to see those in traffic light situations where somebody runs a red light or somebody fails, maybe they go a little fast, they get out in the intersection too quick, and you have these cars colliding at a 90 degree angle, and usually at a pretty high speed. So we think this will be a safer solution for us. We expect it to be finished by December. So the time is drawing near when Litchfield Road will again be a good place, a good road to drive on. Camelback Road. Camelback Road was not in the city of Litchfield Park, other than a small strip that went across the intersection it went through the intersection basically of Camelback Road and Litchfield Road. There was a small strip of Camelback that was actually in the city of Litchfield Park. So 2 years ago, the city council adopted a truck ordinance in which we prohibited through trucks, any trucks that were just going to drive through our city, other than trucks on a designated truck route, which we designated as Dicer Road. Because we did that because we have to have one truck route in the city, at least one. So even though trucks were prohibited from driving through the city, we did not have any impact on the trucks that were on Camelback Road. Camelback Road truck traffic was a huge concern when some of the commercial buildings were being rezoned. Some land was being rezoned on Camelback Road for the new cross-dock facility that I think is a FedEx facility. The community was very concerned that the truck traffic would increase. We were able to get some agreements with that business so that they would not bring their trucks through Litchfield Park. But it still left a tremendous number of trucks that use Camelback, and they use it literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was in some of the neighborhoods that are over in the village and in the greens, and the people literally were being disturbed by these trucks at all hours. Sometimes even to the point of having difficulty sleeping, having to do things to put noise in their house, like white noise or something to mask the sound of these trucks all the time. So the council decided that what we would do is we would annex Camelback Road into the city, and that would give us the ability to control both the development of Camelback Road, because Camelback Road needs to be improved in the area to the west of Litchfield Road. And it needs curb and gutter. It needs to be expanded to 4 lanes. There's a variety of things that need to happen to that road, and we wanted to be sure that we could control the development of that road in the future. And we also wanted our truck ordinance to apply to the road. So we have completed the annexation process now, so that Camelback Road is part of the city of Litchfield Park from roughly the Bullard Wash to 127th Avenue. And we have informed all of the heavy-duty truck users that we could identify. We have informed them that as of May 1st, we're going to enforce our existing truck ordinance. And so if they use that road for through traffic, they're subject to being stopped. Initially, we will be giving warnings out to people, so we're not doing this to generate revenue, but we're going to stop them and give them warnings so that they realize that they need to change their route. They need to go up and use Northern Parkway. They can use Olive Avenue. There's a variety of ways to get around our community, that are more appropriate for these trucks than going down Camelback Road. Scout Lodge. Scout Lodge was a gift to our community by Paul Litchfield many, many years ago. And it has served as a focal point for scouting really in the Southwest Valley. I don't know, I probably should ask my Scoutmaster, Vice Mayor, how many scout troops use Scout Lodge now, do you know?
2 Boy Scout troops and a Girl Scouts.
So two Boy Scout troops and a Girl Scout group uses that lodge now. The problem we have with the lodge is structurally unsound. There's literally a 4x4 that holds up one of the rafters. That literally is stuck in the middle of the building. There's a 4x4 that's bracing a rafter so it doesn't fall down. So it's not a good situation. It either needs to be totally rebuilt, or we need a new lodge. We need to do something. That area also is an area that, is an area that the council has looked at it as being very critical to the buffering of the residents that live around Scout Park, buffering those residents from the impacts of Litchfield Square and the commercial activities that will be going on in Litchfield Square. So it's a natural place for us to do something that will give us a clean demarcation between the neighborhood and Litchfield Square. And one of the things that we need in Litchfield Square is parking. Parking is a big constraint. We literally we can only have a certain amount of square footage of buildings in that development because we have so little land left over for parking. So the thought is that this area, the area where the Scout Lodge is a natural place to put a parking lot, and a parking lot that would be delineated or buffered from the neighborhood with landscaping, very similar to what is done with the parking lot at Red's. So if you think about the Red's parking lot, and if you're in Scout Park, when I'm in Scout Park, I don't even think about the fact that on the other side of the oleanders is the Red's parking lot. You don't see it, and you don't really get any noise or any impact on it at all. So the concept is to relocate Scout Lodge across the street in Scout Park to, as much as possible, either duplicate the building or move the building. It's a little bit difficult to move because of the structural issues with it, so we may not be successful actually moving it. But we can save the important things that are part of the building, such as the fireplace and some of the bricks and things that the lodge is constructed of. We can incorporate those into another structure across the street. Then that will open up that area where we can go in and put in some landscaping. It will provide parking that we need for the park right now. It's always a problem in terms of where people park. The golf courses occasionally need extra parking. There's not enough parking across the street from Red's for the golf events that are held. So there's a variety of needs for additional parking in that area. So we can put in landscaping now and put in a temporary parking lot and see how it works as a parking lot. Hopefully it will not have any negative impacts on the neighborhood. You'll only be able to go in, you'll be able to go into the parking area from Fairway, but you're not going to be allowed to go out of the parking area on Fairway. So we try to keep the cars out of the neighborhood itself. I'm sure everyone here knows about the work that's being done up on the hilltop by the Historic Society. They were blessed by a gift from the Denny family of $1 million if they could go raise $2 million. And with $3 million, they could build a real museum for all of the artifacts and the things that they have in their collection. So they have been diligently working to raise money. And as I understand it, they're at about 71% of their goal. We hope that they'll be over the top, finish the goal here shortly. So they're going to build. You can see the picture. This is the current. This is the original Litchfield homestead here, and then they're building a museum that attaches to it. It's on the very top of the hill, so it's in a beautiful setting. It now has put the city in the situation where we have to go through and figure out how we're going to make the hilltop a sustainable asset within the city, and it's a large problem. We spend about $100,000 a year, and we don't maintain the property anywhere near in the condition that it needs to be maintained in. So you can see it's not that the city hasn't spent any money to try to keep the property up, but it's just a huge property. It has so many trees on it and so much vegetation that it's very difficult to maintain it. So what we're doing is working on an agreement, a partnership with Sun Health, because it's in Sun Health's best interest if the hilltop is an asset because of the development they're building right next door to it. It doesn't help them attract people into that development if that hilltop, looks like it's still in the Old West. So we're working on an agreement with Sun Health to initially go in and completely clean the property up. We estimate that the cost of that could be as much as $500,000. So it's not a small task. We're working on ways to get that cost financed and literally paid for through taxes that Sun Health will be paying when they build their development, called construction sales tax. It's a difficult balancing act because there's a lot of money that needs to be spent on the hilltop right now, and it's going to take some time before they have all of their building activity really is going quickly enough to generate funds to pay for the cleanup. But we're working through those issues, and I anticipate in the next month or so that we will have an agreement with them. And once that happens, it will provide a process where we can have the hilltop in a condition that the Historic Society can go ahead and build their project, and that will allow them, I think, with 71% of the money raised now, they can actually get started breaking ground, and that will help them finish the fundraising process. So I believe we're going to see a significant amount of activity up on the hilltop in the next 6 months to a year. Some of the capital projects that we're working on, we have an ongoing street improvement and maintenance program. We are finally finishing the downtown storm drain project that was started about 12 years ago. We're working on Staggs Park and some of the other parks. Street improvement. So what we did 15 years ago or so is sit down and survey every street in the city in terms of its condition, and we put together literally a 10-year plan that had street by street what we were going to do with these streets to get them, because 12, 15 years ago the streets, a lot of them were very poor condition. So we have worked that plan consistently since we put it in. We update the plan every year, and so every year we have a list of streets that we know we're going to work on, and we know what we're going to do to them. In some cases, it'll be simple maintenance where we simply try to preserve the life of the street. So we may put down a special oil and mineral oil that keeps the condition of the pavement good. It may be something where we put down a small coating. You'll see a lot of that going on in the city right now. And in some cases, we actually take the pavement and what's called mill. We tear the top layer of the pavement off, and we put new pavement down. So we're in the process of doing that now. We have 48 streets and alleys that were sealed with this oil. We had micro seal on a couple of streets. We have 7 streets that we're going to actually mill and replace the pavement. The largest one of those projects is actually Litchfield Road. Initially, we were going to mill and overlay, put down new pavement on Litchfield Road, north of where the circle is going. So right just about where Cache is. That got stopped first because of COVID raised some issues for us. And then it got stopped because Southwest Gas decided they wanted to put their gas line in underneath that road. And we didn't want to go in and totally redo the road and then have them come in and put those holes in the road basically to get that big pipe in. So that was postponed until that process is completed. So somewhere towards the end of this year, you'll see Litchfield Road be reconstructed from the traffic circle north, and then obviously from the traffic circle south, it's going to get reconstructed as part of the traffic circle process. So that entire road will be new pavement shortly. Downtown storm drain. Again, I'm going to tell you 14 years ago, we entered into an agreement with the county to fix the storm drains in the center part of the city. We have a significant amount of water that comes from this area, and when it comes, it really has nowhere to go. Right now, it kind of goes across the vacant land that's going to become the city square. And obviously, we really can't have that water coming down through that once that land gets developed. That doesn't work. And at the time that we did this, the program with the county, we only had enough funding to do about half of the project. And so it was about 2008 or 2009, city receipts from our tax receipts were down because of the economy being in really bad shape. So we postponed the project that would bring the storm drain down on this side of Old Litchfield Road. So that part of the project we just didn't finish it. And we thought we would finish it in a couple of years. So now, 15 years later, we're finally going to finish it. Fortunately, we were able to convince the county to put their money back in the pot. So we entered into a new agreement with the county. The county flood control district will pay about 50% of the cost, and the city will pay the other 50%. And you'll see work being done on Fairway Drive, Old Litchfield Road, and then over here on Neola. And that will complete all of the stormwater process of moving the stormwater out of Litchfield Park and into the county's flood control areas that are down south of Indian School. We also have a problem with flooding in the peninsula development, the condo development that is called the Peninsula. Excuse me. Whenever we get a really, really heavy rain, the water flows down this way, and it goes right through these condos. And by saying through it, I mean it comes down this, goes around here, and it goes right through these condos. So people literally, they just have to open their door on the front, open their door on the back, and the water goes right through. It's a really serious problem. I actually went down, it's been probably 4 years ago, when we had the last really, really huge monsoon kind of rain that rained a tremendous amount in an hour. I went down and visited with some of the homeowners, and you could just see where the water just went right through their condos. And the whole drainage in this area was designed basically to go out to the golf course, which is right here. But the problem is the way that this was designed, these condos are low enough that the water has to go right through them to get to the golf course. So we've been working with the homeowners and with the county flood control people, and we were able to obtain a grant from the county to pay for 75% of fixing this problem. So we're doing a couple of different things to fix the problem in terms of the size of grates we have and the way that the water goes into these areas that would put it into a pipe that runs it out into the golf course. And we're building some berms in some areas, higher areas, to basically redirect the flow. So when the water flows, it won't flow through the condos, it'll flow out to the golf course and miss the condos. So it's going to be a pretty large project, and you'll see that start here in the next several months. We also are spending significant amounts of money on our parks. An example of that is Staggs Park. We have this new playground equipment that's going into Staggs Park. We also are working on the parking situation at Staggs. We have, as people use that park, and they park on Old Litchfield Road, we have a situation where we're concerned that if we don't do something, we're going to end up with a child being hurt. And the something that we've come up with is to actually put in a small parking lot. In this area right here, you can kind of see it. There will be an entrance in here, and then a parking lot right next to the church, and the exit for this will actually go through the church parking lot. So they'll be connected. And then we're going to prohibit parking on one side of Old Litchfield Road. So we'll try to get the cars off of Old Litchfield Road and get them into this little parking lot. So you'll see that getting built here in the next several months. We also are working on Camelback Park. So we brought the new wall down Camelback, and it's now to the little short wall that goes around the Camelback Park itself. That short wall is not on the what would be the city's property line, the right of way basically for Camelback. So if you look here, you can see there's a red line. The red line is actually where the wall could be. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a new wall in this area, and we're going to move the wall out so that we capture as much space as we can for the park. And then when we do that, we also have a problem with parking on this park with people who park in this area or this area. And again, they park in front of people's homes, and the people aren't really happy about that. And it's dangerous for the kids that are playing because they literally run in and out of those cars all the time. I drive that road quite often, and you have to be very, very careful when you go around that curve. When they're parking on both sides of the streets, there almost isn't room for two cars to go past each other on that curve. And then you've got kids running in and out. So what we're going to do is put in a parking lot. I think that's on the next slide. If you look in here, this is going to be a parking lot. So the wall is going to move out so we have more space, and we're going to put a little parking lot in here. And we're going to we're investigating building that parking lot using what are called grass pavers. So they're pavers, but they actually look like grass. They have grass. I think grass actually grows in them, correct? Yeah. So it won't look like a parking lot. So it'll still look like a park, but it'll be a parking lot where we can direct people into park and we'll get them off the street, which we think it'll be a lot safer situation for the people using the park. It will also increase the size of the park by almost 1 acre, so it's almost a 20% increase in the size of the park. So we'll be able to create enough extra space because of moving the wall to compensate for using some of the space for a parking lot. Okay, some things that are of note for the community. We continue to spend our resources on planting trees. Trees are part of the signature of being in Litchfield Park. There's nowhere in Litchfield Park that you don't have a significant number of trees. The trees help the environment. The trees help keep the temperatures down a little bit. It's all positive for trees. We are recognized as what's called a Tree USA community. So there's a group in the country that literally looks at how many trees you have in your community, and if you meet a minimum number of trees, then they recognize you as a Tree USA town. So we are a Tree USA town and have been for many years. We also want to thank the individuals who helped us on painting all of our orange trees. We had 100 volunteers that got together and painted 600 orange trees. It's part of a general process of trying to make sure that we keep our community beautiful. So we want to thank them, and we want to thank our RPG Commission for organizing that. Each year we receive awards for the one or more of the special events that we hold. There's a group in the state that looks at all the different festivals and events that are held throughout the state, and they give out awards. In 2021, we were the best of the best for our Christmas in the Park festival. So tells you what a good job our recreation department is doing in terms of organizing these festivals. With that, I am done. I'm sure you're saying, thank God. But now we're going to have remarks from our council. So we'll make it easy and start at one end and come to this end. We'll start with Councilman Ososi.
I just want to say I'm really thankful that we're back to doing stuff in person again. That's it.
That's a hard act to follow. I'm going to just highlight some of the things that the mayor talked about, starting with the Historical Society and the Build on the Hill. I tell everybody I see, whether it's all over the state or even out of town, I think that is going to be absolutely beautiful. I think it's going to be truly a destination for Phoenix. I think people will get off their plane, museum people especially. They'll go see the herd, and then they'll come west. I really think it's going to be outstanding, so we're excited about that. Secondly, a few years ago, you guys might have heard me say that every time I meet somebody who's moved to Litchfield, I always say, how'd you find Litchfield? I called it Finding Litchfield. And you know, I will tell you, we've been found. So I went to the Sunday Arts and Crafts Festival, that version of. I didn't see one single solitary person I knew. Then I went to the concert at the Wigwam. Had to be 700 people on the lawn. I was handing out flyers. Other than Sonny and Barbara, I didn't see anybody else. So guess what? We have been found. And they say, you know, if you build it, they will come. They're already coming. So now we're building it. So anyway, also I'd like to acknowledge Litchfield Elementary School District that's here. They, in the last week, were just presented once again with the Best of the West. And I can tell you that I think all of us up here, and I know all of us up here and many of you in there, all of our kids went through that system and all of our kids were launched. And so we're really proud to have them as a partner as well. And I noticed Jonathan Robles from EMCC, our higher education partner, they're here as well. And again, we're so blessed to have all of those entities here. Also wanted to talk about the roundabout. I've received a handful of telephone calls from our citizens about the speed bumps on Bird Lane. And other than joking and saying, well, it's like an e-ticket at Disneyland, it's okay, we have to learn to use them. I think they have been helpful. I'd say they're not going away. Same with the roundabout. We just have to be patient. You know, what the first part of that construction wasn't our fault. It was Southwest Gas, right? Now it's our fault. Anyway, but just be patient, learn about it. It is progress. And with that, I will end in the words of Khalil Gibran. Progress lies not in enhancing what is, but in advancing towards what will be. It's coming. Cheers.
Councilman Watson. Any remarks?
I do. Hi, am I on?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to start off by saying it's been such a pleasure to serve as a member of this city council. The things that we've dealt with and that we're working on, the projects are exciting. We are at a pivot point for Litchfield that is just, I can't use any other word other than really, truly exciting to see what's going on. When we complete the Loma Hilltop expansion, the museum, when we have the city center done, and the remaining commercial things that are going in around down here with our long-term partner, the Diamond of the Desert, the Wigwam, we are going to have a true destination, and this place will be sustainable far into the future and be able to give people the lifestyle that so many of us grew up with and appreciate. So it's been an honor. I have something. Sorry, watermelon. You say that when you start to get emotional and it takes it off. Anyhow, something very serious that I wanted to bring up. The last month, I've watched as my son and his friends have buried and mourned a dear friend. Young man, 34 years old, graduate from a university with a degree in engineering, productive, living a great life, fell off of a golf cart in a tragic but freak accident. No rollover, nothing dramatic, hit the edge of a rounded curb, and whoever was driving got enough of the bounce that this young man was thrown. He had a head injury that he never woke up from. I watched, my husband and I spend way too much time on the roads, and we watch people driving around in golf carts, and we have deep concerns for the safety of our community. And I would just like to remind everyone that golf carts are not little cars with training wheels for kids to learn how to drive a real car. They are a serious vehicle and meant to be taken as a serious vehicle. They have specific laws and regulations that apply to them, and they need to be taught, children who are learning to drive and of legal age need to be taught that they handle differently than cars do. Some of the crazy things you see, I was driving to my mom's house the other day, and a young man in a golf cart was in front of us. We had earbuds in, and he received a text message, and kudos to his parents, they told him to pull over or to stop to respond to text messages, but they left out the key detail of pull off of the street or over to the curb. He literally stopped in the middle of the street because of his earbuds, had no idea that we were right up behind him the entire time. And when we finally passed around him, he hit the gas and took off driving right up behind us as quickly as he could, and almost rear-ended us as we turned into a driveway. We watch them speed, and it's not all young people, it's everyone. We watch people speed on these golf carts, and kids get bounced around like they're a watermelon in the back ready to fall off. Last night, true story, 6 young girls on a golf cart crossed diagonally across from the restaurants to the median. It's not a traffic circle, it's a median in the center of Wigwam and Old Litchfield Road, and then followed a young man, obviously a friend who was a pedestrian, diagonally across the road again. Fortunately, all of the drivers in all 4 directions who saw the kids came to a stop, and we waited till they all got safely out of the middle of the road. But it just brought to mind one more time how dangerous these can be. So please, if you know someone who drives a golf cart, they are such an integral part of our community. I don't want to see them ever be legislated away or anything like that, but I do want to see people drive them safely. I want to see kids drive them safely, young adults, everyone. And with that same thought in mind, bicycle safety is a huge issue down here at this corner. If you ride a bike, remember, you follow the traffic laws. You have to come to a stop at the stop sign, just like everybody else does. It takes away your momentum, as my brother-in-law, the skinny tiger bike racer, says, but unfortunately, that's part of it. The last thing that I would like to say is that I am up for re-election. I have enjoyed my time here, and I am running again, and would love and appreciate your support. And remind you that if you have questions, comments, concerns, all of your council members are members of the community who want to be reached out to and bring your thoughts to us. And with that, that's all I have.
So just a
couple key points that I have that I think are extremely important in what we've got going forward. Is I love the proactive nature of this council and how we're looking forward and what we're trying to do. The vision of the city center is going to completely change the future of this city. What we're doing with bringing in a blend of residential and commercial is just going to be unbelievable once we get this done. And so fortunate to see that we've actually got the partnership agreement signed and things happening. So I'm extremely excited about City Center and what's happening there. For me, one of the more personal things, I'm in the trucking world, and I hate what trucking has done in the way they've fought us in understanding the needs of our residents going up and down Camelback Road. And I'm so thankful for the council of being able to see and take on and annex all of Camelback and take on that expense. And I'm extremely thankful for the Avondale Police Department to enforce the rule, because that was an issue that we had with MCSO. They refused to enforce the rulings. So thank you to Avondale, Chief Espinoza, and the rest of your team for helping us get this done and keeping our residents to have the charm of the city that it deserves. I had a separate note for the Avondale Police specifically. You guys are amazing. You really are. There's not one, I'm in the community a lot, and there has not been one bad word. Everyone is just appreciative of seeing the visibility that you have and the manner in which you and your team have supported this community, and I just want to personally thank you for that. It's going to be extremely exciting to see the build out going on around La Loma. You know, they've got a lot of things going on. You see some of the vision and design review that's going on with the new signage that's going up, and the changes on Camelback Road and Litchfield Road and what they're going to do. I think that's going to be something that everyone's going to be very excited to see happen. And it's exciting. Again, excitement is a big word for me right now. We've got so much happening, and it's just fun to actually see it happening. So the Loma project's really going to be seeing a lot of that happening very quickly as well. And then lastly for me, I just want to appreciate the opportunity to serve the community. I love being part of this community. I moved here in 2013. My wife grew up here as a child, and this is a special place. There's very few places I've been able to come across in this, and I want to make sure that we do everything we can to keep the charm. But beyond serving the community, I love the ability to serve with this group. This council is really special. We don't always agree. We fight like brothers, but we all come together and we all have the same interest at heart. We are serving just to serve, and we all do want what's best for Litchfield. And we are very fortunate with the leadership of Tom Schoaf to help us, guide us in that path as well. So thank you.
Thank you all for being here today. It's great to have this back in person again and to be able to see all the faces and see the people. Those of you that weren't forced to be here because your staff or our boards, the actual citizens that are here, it's great to see you here and to see your participation in our city, see what's going on. I'm Paul Faith. I've been your vice mayor for the last 18 years. The mayor and I are the long-termers here on the council. We have been fortunate to have the support and to have been on a vision to ensure that the city has some long-term financial stability. And I think it's all coming to fruition. What's happening right now is fantastic. Our finances are great. You've seen a lot of projects that we have on the board. Without this long-term vision and the financial stability, we wouldn't be able to do all these projects. This is something new for the city to be able to get into this many projects at the same time and of this size and magnitude. So it's really, really exciting times to be here on the council and see what's happening. I want to thank the mayor personally for his vision, for his leadership. He's done a fantastic job. So if you get a chance to thank him for his service, we're all volunteers, we don't get paid. He spends more time on this for this city than the other 6 of us do, probably all put together. So if you get a chance, thank him for what he's doing. One of the things that we have been very, very cognizant of, and the thing that I hear from the citizens on a regular basis, is our small town atmosphere. And that is something that even with the projects and the things that we have going on, that we are very, very, very serious about, all 7 of us. We're all residents My kids all live here, my grandkids all live here. We've got something that's very, very special. We've got something that we are determined to preserve. It's been difficult. We've heard from the citizens for many years that they wanted that dirt behind City Hall, where the city center is going in, to go away and something to be developed. We've worked very, very hard to attempt to do something that we think will benefit the city, that we're all going to enjoy. That is a very, very exciting project, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this all comes together. The park in the middle of it is going to be another great attribute for the city and all the events that can be held there. We are not big enough to have our own police or fire. We contract with Goodyear for the fire, we contract with Avondale for the police services. I want to compliment both of those organizations. You guys have done a phenomenal job. I hear zero complaints, from the services that you're providing. And from the police officer standpoint, that's probably pretty amazing, because you're not oftentimes stopping people because you want to, make new friends, but I get no complaints. And I see some of the activities through the court system has picked up a little bit. In the past, we've had more of a less proactive enforcement. And what you guys are doing has been fantastic. And with our fire department, the response times, your firemen are to be commended. They have just been exceptional for the services that they provided to the city. The last thing I've got, and one of my favorites, I was your scoutmaster for a long time. It's been a number of years ago. All of my boys are Eagle Scouts. Many of you sitting out here right now are probably Eagle Scouts. And it always surprises me when I see and talk to some of these guys around that are 70s and 80s, and they're Eagle Scouts. You don't look at them and go, there was an Eagle Scout as we get older. But the Scout Lodge is very, very important to me. And a little history was there used to be 2 of those Scout Lodges that were built. They were built with funds that were donated by the employees of Goodyear Aerospace at the direction of Paul Litchfield. And the one in Goodyear was taken away from the Scouts, and actually in the last few weeks it's been bulldozed. It's gone. The one that we have here is very, very special, and it's created some outstanding citizens, and I got to think the scouting program is contributed to that. And I think one of our projects they've got going on in the city center that with one of our developers is one of our local Eagle Scouts that's heading that project. I look forward to trying to figure out how we're going to move it, modify it, work it, but it's going to take all of your input. Those of you that have been involved in scouting over all the years, get involved with committees, help us do something that's going to continue this legacy that we have going on here in Litchfield Park. And we are one of a couple of hot spots for scouting, boys and girls, in the state of Arizona, right here in our town, because of the facilities that we have and the involvement we have with the people. So if you have time, if you have an interest, there's a committee going on as to how we're going to handle this in the future. Please get involved. Thank you.
Okay, we're now at the point in our meeting where we're calling for public comment. Anyone who would like to address the council, either with a comment about anything that was discussed today or on today's agenda, or if you have any questions, you're welcome to do that. You have to fill out a little form like this, which is a request to speak form. The purpose of this is to make sure that we know who has asked to speak, and also if there's something that calls for a response that we need to get back to you on, then we need to have at least some information so that we can communicate back with you on anything that we can't answer today. So if anyone would like to speak, please fill one of these out. This is Greg Mitchie has asked to speak, so the floor is yours.
First, I want to thank you. Are you here? Can you hear me? I want to thank you for the update.
Yes, stand just a little bit closer.
Okay.
All right.
Now I heard it. Thank you for the update on the city center. I appreciate that, as I'm sure everybody else does as well. What I have here is the Litchfield Park City Center design plans that you guys approved back in 2019. And in it are plans for a 3-story, 110-unit apartment building across the street from Papa Paul's. Is that still going to happen?
There were no specific things, specific buildings or developments approved. It was what was approved was a concept or a general overall 50,000 foot level plan. So no, there are no plans for a 3-story apartment building in any part of that area.
Okay. Great. What about 3 parking garages that are in here as well? Are you still doing 3 parking garages?
There will be parking garages, and it could be 3 or even 4. The parking is literally, as I had said earlier, it is the limiting factor in what we can develop in this area, in this downtown area. So these parking garages will be, again, they'll be designed in a way that when you look at them, you're not going to know necessarily that it's even a parking garage, other than the fact that if you look, there'll be a place for cars to go in and out. But the facades themselves will be consistent with the buildings that are built around it. And if you remember, there's one lot that's actually between Papa Paul's and the church. It shows a parking lot in between 2 buildings. What's probably going to happen with that lot is that there will be a parking garage constructed, hopefully at the same time both of the buildings are constructed. And so it will be one integrated structure in which there'll be a parking garage in between 2 buildings on the east and the west.
Yeah, I think that was on the.
So, yes, there will be parking garages. I don't think you'll find them to be obnoxious. It's part of what will be needed. We're planning on a total of 400,000 square feet. And so you can imagine that 400,000 square feet, you need a lot of parking. A lot of the parking is distributed throughout the streets, but it still leaves a need for more than what we can realistically put in parking lots.
And then one final question: with the 3 parking garages and the surface parking, that's 1,852 parking spots in here. Is that necessarily that many?
I don't know if it will end up with that many. It will be dependent upon what kinds of uses people come in and are approved for. So if you have, for example, an office use as compared to a restaurant use, it calls for a different you have a different need for parking per square foot for those 2 buildings. So part of what will happen is as we are approving development of the land of individual parcels, is we have to keep track of how many square feet are on the parcel so that it stays within the plan, and what are the uses that are being put for the square feet, so that we have a correct number of parking places. But I mean, could it be 1,000? It certainly it's possible. It just depends on uses. All of them will be done in a way we're designing the transportation flows in a manner that will discourage any of those 1,000 cars from going into the neighborhoods around Litchfield Square. So that's one of the features that we're going to be consistent with as we approve developments and we approve the placement of these parking garages, is to keep those cars out of the neighborhoods.
Thank you.
If I could, this whole project is it's a work in process. We don't have any certain building set on any certain parcel at this point. We've got lots of pictures and drawings and pretty colors on paper, but until we get somebody that comes to us, developers that come to us with a project they want and that we like, that'll be the turning point where that building actually gets built. We've got some issues to address. That dirt out there has been used for years and years and years for RVs, for our festivals, for parking for our festivals, for overflow for the golf course. And we've got to address those parking issues also. So we may wind up with a parking garage. I'm not 100% convinced we need a parking garage still, but what I do not want to see is a whole lot of asphalt out there with buildings spread all apart. The idea is to build something that is walkable, enjoyable to sit around, landscaping, shade, and not have big massive parking areas that you're walking across trying to get from one spot to another.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to make a comment or ask a question? If not, we're getting perilously close to adjourning this meeting. All right. I don't know. We didn't I guess I called the meeting to order, so we have to actually adjourn. So is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. 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 We're adjourned. All right.